We are the Bro Force Squad, and we are breeze fresh out of the theater. Opening night, may I add, of Avengers Infinity War. All of our team is here, except for Ronnie Cycli, who is more like a Netflix character. Anyways, I'm Matt Geiger, and they are Brian Banner and Jeff Hornacek. Guys, how we doing?
Like anytime you're at the bar and you know that you ordered 10 shots and the tab's on its way, dread it, run from it, destiny still arrives.
Banner, still with us?
Yeah, I feel like I just got out of a funeral, but not like a close relative, but like a second cousin's uncle.
Yeah, like you should cry, but for some reason you don't.
Yeah.
Now you feel weird about it. Yeah, I understand. All right, well, by now you know our deal. We grade everything on our 5 criteria: acting, story, best scene, impacts on pop culture, and rewatchability. So, for acting, let's throw it to our Marvel man, the mayor, Jeff Hornacek.
Oh, man, can I just take Josh Brolin? I mean, this is the definition of low-hanging fruit, but in my estimation, he lived up to the hype, man. I mean, Marvel has been building this badass villain across 10 years and 18 movies, and I felt it. He was intimidating. He was menacing. The CGI looked fucking incredible on him.
It did.
Yeah, and the performance was awesome. And one other person I want to highlight, this movie had a lot of well-placed humor, I think. It hit us in the gut and the heart when it needed to, but Chris Pratt, this is, I think, even funnier than either of the first two.
This might be
Guardians.
his best Star-Lord.
Yeah, was a total scene stealer in this. Even up against Chris Hemsworth, which is not easy to do.
Banner?
I'm actually... There's so many positives in this movie. I'm actually going to take a couple of negatives. One, Mark Ruffalo. Dude, this is not the Ruffalo that we've had in past movies. He wasn't even in the same movie as everybody else, in my opinion. Thought he did really bad. I was really disappointed with that. And being a Game of Thrones fan, I was super excited about Peter Dinklage being in the movie. Wasn't a big fan of him or his character and how they used him. I felt like he was in a different movie. He was trying to be funny when he shouldn't have been a funny character.
If I was high during the time, I thought it'd be funny where he's a giant, but he's actually a midget in real life. I just thought that was amusing, I guess. That was kind of funny.
It kind of was.
Yeah.
Okay, so for acting, man, this team is so stacked. I was just waiting for Kevin Durant to show up and just be like, bro, can I be a part of this shit? But I will say one thing. Chris Hemsworth, he's a guy. Like, I've always liked Chris Hemsworth. Like, he's in shape. He has awesome hair. I've always been fond of him. If someone said he was a shitty actor at a bar, I'd probably just kind of give him a dirty look. Now I will fight that guy because dude can act. He came in this, and I thought he was a scene stealer, honestly, for acting, not comedy or anything like that. I thought this was his best acting performance, and that's even besides Thor Ragnarok, which I thought he was an A+ in. I've seen him in Red Dawn, which is it's hard to tell. It's hard for me to say that was a great acting performance because that's a Swayze movie, who's like the god of our whole podcast, the reason why we're here. But he brought it, man, and I was just floored because I actually thought after this whole thing is done, he'll never get another acting job. Boy, was I wrong. Hollywood should hire him. He is an Oscar winner waiting to happen, for sure. All right, right into story. The person that knows the story better than anyone is Jeff Hornacek, so I'm going to give it back to him first because he has read this comic when he was just a small lad in London, just growing up as a schoolboy. So take it away, Jeff.
Hello. Those were the good times. All right, so this is a spoilers review, as you guys know from the title. There's really no way to talk about this movie without spoiling it. So when Marvel first announced that this was going to be a 2-parter, I think we were all fucking jacked up. We were like, good, you can't tell this story and culminate the MCU in one movie. The Russos did say they would feel like separate installments once they took away the Part 1, Part 2 titles. And this is probably the end that Matt Geiger wants, where half the Marvel Cinematic Universe is dead. And I think we did have some serious deaths that are going to be permanent in this one. So for me, I was very pleased with this story. It can't be a direct comic adaptation because we don't have Adam Warlock, at least yet introduced, and of course the Silver Surfer. But I thought they did an incredible job of incorporating the Infinity Stones into the canon of the MCU, respecting the comic, and then, like Geiger said in the theater, like there has to be consequences, and this movie especially for any MCU film, had serious stakes. So I was very pleased with the story.
Banner.
Yeah, I echo everything you said. I thought that they did a really, really good job of adapting the comic with the characters that they have and they've introduced. Having Gamora be Thanos's, Lady Love.
Lady Death, basically.
Yeah. I mean, she was Lady Death in this, but having Gamora in there and really building that up. I mean, they planted that seed back in Guardians 1. And to know that all these years later and have you feel the emotion of Thanos. I mean, there was a point where Thanos is a bad dude, but I kind of feel bad for him and I'm kind of in his corner.
So I want to talk to the 70% for a little bit, which is kind of stupid because the 70% probably doesn't listen to us. So it's probably like talking to a wall because the other 30% knows these comics. But the 70% that have watched these films because of, they're fun, they're summer blockbusters, or, I like Chris Pratt, or I like Chris Hemsworth, or, the stories are just fun. They probably don't really pay attention to the Infinity Stones.
I love that you didn't say, I love Chris Evans.
Because he doesn't.
Well, he sucks, so I don't love Chris Evans. But I love how the Infinity Stones were really front and center in this movie, and that is what, it's not the characters, it's not all the actors getting together, it's the Infinity Stones, the Infinity Gauntlet that's on Thanos' knuckles is the only thing that really connects these movies. And I thought they did a fantastic job of putting that front and center. If you go back and rewatch all these movies, all of those things that you're probably like, why does that give him power? Why can he do that? If you go back and rewatch these movies, it'll explain all of it. And I thought that was probably the best job of storytelling ever done, and that includes the Star Wars universe, the originals, that they did for this story. I thought it was perfect. I thought it was a culmination of what happened in the first Iron Man. I thought it was a great job, for sure. So every great movie has the best scene. So, Banner, what was your best scene?
I'm gonna take it, even though we talked about it off pod, and I think we may or may not have agreed we wouldn't say this because we can all agree it is the best scene. When Gamora died, hands down the best scene. You feel the emotion. None of us wanted her to die, but also knew pretty quickly there's no way around this.
Yeah.
Just a really, really well done scene, and seeing Thanos crying and realizing that she was Lady Death in this adaptation was it hit the touchy-feelies, which the Marvel Cinematic Universe doesn't always do.
Jeff, does your best scene have to do with Gamora and Thanos? I can't remember.
No, I mean that.
Okay,
that...
can I just add something real quick? Then?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, I have been really hard on the Marvel Cinematic Universe as a DCU fan. Excuse me, I can't even say it because it's not even really a thing anymore. But I've been really hard on Marvel about villains. However, I think they did it for a reason. I thought that they wanted to character develop only one villain, and I thought they did it perfect here where, Banner, you touched on it, and Jeff, you did earlier, that a villain has to be a badass. Yes, he does, or she. But you have to have some sympathetic thing to him or her and be like, I see why they're doing this. And there was 2 or 3 scenes in Thanos, I'm just like, God, you're a badass, but I kind of see where you're coming from here, and I'm almost kind of on your side now, and I thought they did that perfectly. This is the top 5 best villain, movie I've ever seen. I still think Heath's number 1, but this is up there for sure. They did Thanos perfect. I thought they character developed him perfect in this movie. I just want to step in there. Jeff, best scene.
Yeah, I think the great thing about your scene was that Gamora thought she had the upper hand because Thanos didn't love her, and it was sort of like a catch-22. She's like, fuck. It's kind of touching that you love me, but also it means you're going to get this stone because you're about to kill the shit out of me. My best scene actually goes back to a little Bro Force Squad mantra. The opening scene in the movie doesn't have to be the best scene, but what does it have to do, gentlemen?
It's gotta set the tone.
It's gotta set. Thank you. I knew you were getting the bell. It's gotta set the tone.
Just knocked over my wife's favorite vase to get my bell, my $2.99 bell.
Can't make an omelet without breaking a few fucking eggs. And that's what this opening scene did. I'm not going to lie. I'm not too happy that he got the Power Stone off screen. But it was a great way to tie directly into Thor Ragnarok. And that opening scene is so eerie with the distress call from the Asgardian ship. and you just see Heimdall lying there, and you're like, wow, dude, Thanos just fucking ran through this place like an offensive lineman at a Chinese buffet. And then, of course, it culminates with the perfect end to Tom Hiddleston's Loki. So that was an incredible scene for me.
I really thought Banner took. Well, I was gonna do the Gamora like kind of origin scene, but this scene, the Wakanda scene, if there was ever a scene not mimicking but almost paying tribute to, and almost, dare I say, maybe even doing it a little better,
You watch
than
yourself.
Return of the
You
Jedi.
tread very lightly here.
Dude, I don't know, man. I mean,
It's
Return of
not
the
better.
Jedi. Return of the Jedi, we didn't have that many origin movies. I mean, that was like 8 origin movies all coming into one in a fight scene. That was fucking badass, I'll have to say. And Black Panther, that is probably the most red hot superhero movie I would dare say ever. Just imagine if The Dark Knight was part of a bigger universe, and then 3 months after The Dark Knight came out, it was part of another movie, and Heath was in it in a huge fight scene. That's what basically happened there. The Wakanda fight scene couldn't have came at a better time, and I don't know if this was by accident or it just happened, but Marvel had Black Panther come out before this movie, and it was just perfect. That Wakanda fight scene was badass. It was well choreographed. It was a perfect timing. I was jacked up when I saw that. Tomorrow at the gym, I'm going to be like, hoo, hoo, ha, ha.
Bombay!
Okay. Impacts on pop culture. Banner, what do you think?
I mean, this is never going to ever be. People are going to try and replicate this, and it's never going to be able to be done. Nobody is going to be able to take this many movies and culminate them together and intermingle all these big stars and big names and big characters into a, dare I say, perfect film. I know it's a 2-parter, and it's hard to call one part of a 2-parter movie perfect, but it's never going to be done before. Or it's never been done before, and it's never going to be done again. I mean, that's your impact right there. It's history.
Jeff, you want to have the last word on this? You want me to go on it?
You go, I'll go last, yeah.
Okay. My impacts on pop culture on this is there's none. There's none for me at all. I'll have to say this was a fantastic movie until the end. I thought Marvel was always kind of tiptoeing around what they should do, even from Civil War. I've had a problem with it. And then you bring Disney on board, who is, I mean, if I could say one thing about Disney is they bitch out on every franchise they do, because in 20 years they want to sell toys more. And basically the end of this movie, if we're doing spoilers, which we are, is they totally bitched out. Everyone they killed, if you're half a mind at all and read the internet, they're all coming back. Spider-Man's getting another movie. Black Panther's getting another movie. I mean, they they had a chance to kill Iron Man. I'm kind of glad they didn't, because when they did, I'm like, I don't feel the way I did in The Dark Knight Rises. Why don't I? I'm like, oh, because it was a fake. I felt like Disney totally bitched out to sell more toys and bring everyone back, and I thought it was a cop-out, and I thought it was a pretty, honestly, bitch move on their part. I was really upset when I left. I thought that it was going to be kind of, the stakes were high. The stakes aren't high at all. Everyone's coming back. I don't know how they're doing it. I really don't care. Whenever I left, I'm just like, you bitched out. You're still kid-friendly to me, and I was really kind of disappointed, honestly.
It's interesting that a movie a decade in the making with 18 films has no impact on pop culture.
You got to know when to end stuff. Lost was cool too, but they didn't know.
I know.
How to end.
If only there was another movie next summer that was completing this story, but sadly, that's not the case. Oh wait.
Oh yeah, kind of like the Star Wars movie that you hated. That basically they're going back on everything and they're going to bring everyone back. Kind of like that. That's what Disney does, and that's why Disney is taking over the world, and they're going to ruin all the franchises that we love, that we read as kids. But that's just my opinion. But go still give money to the Disney machine.
Yeah, because this is The Last Jedi. Great analogy. Let's go. Let's continue on.
That's just my opinion, man. I'm not saying there's some other people. I just figured Cap should already be dead, but someone should have fucking died in this movie and stayed dead. Just like in Logan. I hate when people are going to compare this to Logan. I'm going to punch him in the face. This is not Logan at all. Logan is dead. And that was a culmination. This is not a culmination at all. You know they're bringing all those guys back. They're bringing all of them back. And I was upset about it. I thought it was a missed opportunity.
Jeff, your rebuttal.
I mean, there's so much wrong. We don't want to make this 45 minutes. No one's come back yet, and he's complaining. But I think Loki dying, Gamora dying, Vision legitimately dying, and then everyone whose contract ends after the next movie, which we've known about since 2012, when all their contracts end. I mean, that's going to be the stakes when we lose Ruffalo, Hemsworth, Evans, Downey Jr., Samuel Jackson, Jeremy Renner. I feel like that will be pretty final, especially as it's the end of Phase 3 and Kevin Feige's reign over the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Rewatchability, Geiger. Kind of sounds like you hated this movie, but
No,
are you gonna watch it again?
The Gamora scene, I told you like 80% of this movie is perfect. I just did not like the ending, and I understand Jeff's point. The last movie is gonna be high stakes, but I've heard that fucking song since Civil War. I'm not saying that. I don't want everyone to die in one movie. I want Iron Man to have his, big death scene, and then next movie I want Cap to have his. They're such big characters. They don't all deserve to die at once. I think they all should die separately so you can mourn each death. That's what I feel like. They've developed these characters so well that I don't think that they should all die just in one final scene. I just don't. They're just all so separate. I mean, some people like more of the characters than others. I know we all like some of the characters more than, the other guys do. I just don't want them all to die in one scene. I think that's not weak. I just think it's stupid, basically. I thought Iron Man should have died in this movie, and it should have been mourned.
Yeah, rewatchability for me, I mean, this was like, it's the epitome of a cinematic event. Like we go to this film because we love the characters in it, we're invested in them, and the MCU does something in this film that I think comic book fans have been waiting for a long time, which is a consistent narrative and through line that we've had across multi-genre films, just because of the way that they've set up the different MCU properties, multi-directors, and of course, almost 10 years to the day of the inception of the cinematic universe. So yeah, I'm going to go see this again probably this weekend, even though it is long. And it, at times, just because it is so heavy, the runtime kind of weighs on you a little more than typically does with an MCU film, but I'm already looking forward to seeing this. I think I'm going to go on IMAX next time. I went 2D this time, so got to up the stakes and give the theater more of my money.
I'll say if you're watching this and it's spoilers, I don't know why you are, but it doesn't feel that long when I was in there, actually.
Yeah, I'll agree with that, Geiger. It didn't feel as long. There was some heavy stuff in there, but it didn't feel like a 2.5 hour movie. I'm going to say this as far as rewatchability, and I'm going to go right down the middle of both of you guys on this argument because that's what I do. I don't play favorites.
Switzerland.
Yeah. I'm actually going to compare this to the second and third Pirates of the Caribbean movie because
no one saw.
People saw both of those, Dead Man's Chest and At World's End, but those are one movie that happens to be split into two parts. That's exactly what this is going to be. You're not going to be able to watch one without the other, I think. And that's where you have the problem, Geiger, is that they're not getting their swan song because that's not the end of the movie. This is an intermission that happens to last 12 months.
Oh, I understand it's an intermission. I'm just saying that I think I hold Robert Downey Jr. as high as I do Hugh Jackman. I love them both equally. Hugh Jackman's death was his own.
But it was also
Downey
his
movie. Death
movie.
is going to be shared with fucking Chris Evans, who can't act his way out of a paper bag. That's what I'm upset about. Robert Downey Jr. should have his own. He is the biggest attraction in this whole thing. I thought he should have his own death, and it should be more, and then the rest of the universe should go on. That's kind of what I wanted, I guess. But I'm the Star Wars fan. I get what I wanted, so I'm upset, apparently.
Guys, we've been the Bro
Do you want me to
Force
end it?
Squad
I'm
podcast.
toasting. Okay, you end it, Banner. I'm done.
You guys can check us out on Twitter at Broforce Squad. Everything's posted up on our website, www.broforsquad.com. Go ahead and give us a subscribe on YouTube as well as iTunes. Leave us a 5-star review because that would be awesome. For the mayor himself, Jeff Hornacek, our enforcer in the paint, Matthew F. Geiger, I am the mad scientist, Brian Banner, and we will catch you guys next time.
I hope they remember you. They never say that to me when I leave the Chili's.